before we came to this round, we actually spent about 2.5 weeks redesigning our power steering system. We actually moved the pump down and put different pulley sizes on it and the crank. So we moved the power steering pump off of the supercharger belt, which was probably overdriving the pump. We estimate it to be about 8,400 RPMs. And by moving it and putting it on its own belt that goes directly to the crank and adjusting those pulley sizes, we believe we reduced the speed of the spinning to about 5,500 RPMs. And we have not blown a pump since, so we're hoping that solved our power steering issues. Unfortunately, after we apparently solved our power steering issues, we started noticing another issue. And basically after one lap, the steering wheel was starting to just harden and harden and harden until it would basically turn and stick there without me holding onto it. It wouldn't return to center. So this is the bushing that actually goes through our firewall. And before this round, this actual whole thing was trying to spin a little bit in that bracket that connects it to the firewall. And because of that, we went ahead and ordered a new bushing and shipped it to the track here, and we changed it the Wednesday before qualifying. We went out for our first lap of practice. Afterwards, the steering started hardening up, and same thing as before. So clearly, changing to the new bushing did not solve our issues. Since it did not solve our issues, we thought maybe there was an issue with the power steering rack itself, since the pump still seemed to be working. So we skipped the rest of our first practice session, only getting one lap, to change the power steering rack. In our second practice session, we quickly realized that the power steering rack was not the problem. Again, it worked great for our first lap, but as soon as I returned to the line, and by the time I got up to the burnout box, it was just undrivable. Clearly that makes for not a very drivable car, not a very driftable car. Then it became a Band-Aid situation since we didn't have a lot of time before qualifying. By Band-Aid situation, I mean we basically were trying to keep the car cool. We were shutting it off after every run was complete. We were pouring water down onto this bushing to try to cool the steering shaft and to somewhat release whatever binding or friction or whatever is happening inside this bushing. It seemed to kind of work as a Band-Aid, but unfortunately with our lack of practice and all the struggles, we were not able to put down a good qualifying lap. I'm pretty disappointed in my driving. I wish I could have pulled it out at the last minute and put down a good lap, but it just wasn't in the cards for us this time. So we have a lot of research and work to do before Texas, but we're determined to find a solution to finally make my steering work.